Hi folks, and welcome back to the bench. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. As you guys, if you're a regular watcher, know, we usually dig into gun stuff, mechanical aspects of them usually. But I really like all things mechanical, variety of machines and whatnot, and tools also, particularly ratchets. I think they're kind of interesting because they have moving parts. They're a precision made thing usually. And this is a little find off of eBay, where I guess I haven't bought anything from eBay in a while, so they sent me a $5 off deal. And I found this for about 20 bucks with shipping. So got my $5 off, so 15 bucks. And it is an SK 45170 3/8 drive round-headed ratchet, kind of a classic one. I said, oh, I like US made tools, especially, kind of stuff like this. I'll go ahead and pick that up. So I did. So we're going to take a look at this. It's a 40 tooth, which is pretty coarse. And I was like, man, that's interesting because I guess I've never really studied the history of ratchets very much. But this 40 tooth design here with the dial on the back for changing direction, I've always kind of thought, okay, well, that's just a classic ratchet. I didn't realize that this dates all the way back to 1934 was when this system here was patented by a fellow by the name of Theodore Rueb, I believe is how it said, R-U-E-B, who is an engineer working for Sherman Klove, probably better known for their SK Tools brand. And so this, while it is a classic SK ratchet, has kind of set the stage for a lot of the ratchets that we've seen for many decades. I know that when I first started driving some years back, I think my dad got me from Harbor Freight a ratchet set that had a design very similar to this. Certainly not of the SK made in the USA quality, but very similar in design nonetheless. So very interesting that it's endured for so long, being basically a 1934 design that you still see frequently in use today. To give you an idea of how coarse that 40 tooth is, I mean, you only get 10 clicks per quarter turn, obviously. And compared to something like this Husky here, which is a 72 click, it does feel pretty coarse. I mean, this is quite a bit finer. You get those, was it 18 clicks per quarter? Quite a bit finer. And my favorite ratchet, one of these Gear Wrench 120 XPs, it's very, very fine. We'll deal with those on some other video, especially that Gear Wrench. I really love those. But yeah, it's a coarse mechanism. It feels a little gritty, probably just because of age and being full of dirt. And sometimes when I try to change direction, it does that, where it just wants to spin around a few times. So it disassembles in the way that I prefer on ratchets, where it has a little retaining ring. I'm going to get this, and what you've seen on some other videos, particularly the Python video, this, did I get it? And I think I might have to put this in neutral to get it out. There it is. Ew. So it's dirty, as one might expect. I don't know exactly how old this ratchet is. Based on what I can tell from the markings on it and whatnot, it doesn't seem to be a really early one. I want to say it's probably a late 60s to 70s maybe kind of time frame, but I'm really not sure. Someone that knows more about these may have an answer for that. But man, this thing is kind of full of black stuff. I guess it's probably just old grease, but it's very, very, very black old grease. Ew. Let's see. Go ahead and just start wiping things off so we can see what's going on inside of it. Because it's a very simple mechanism, but it's pretty interesting that, you know, it took until 1934 to figure out something like this. Because there were ratchets before that. I mean, you see sometimes on other folks' YouTube videos and things where they'll, you know, revisit those more or less obsolete patents for ways that tools used to be made. Huh. Yeah, I'm thinking someone must have just packed this with grease and that's gone that color over the years. I don't know. It just smells like metal, automotive kind of automotive smell. Kind of dirty. So it looks like a lot of this here isn't going to be able to be disassembled, because I see that that's kind of staked over there. This pin, yeah, I don't think this comes apart. It looks like it's a permanent assembly, at least without doing anything kind of destructive to it, which they do have rebuild kits for these. I'm hoping that I don't need that this is gonna just clean up okay. It is really dirty. You know, maybe I'll just clean this a little bit for showing y'all, and then I'll get the parts washer out at some point and do a better job of it. But all it is you have this thing here, and there's a little spring-loaded detent down inside. Man, there's a lot of crud there. There's a spring-loaded detent down inside, and so when you flip this back and forth whenever you're changing the dial, it's just swinging these teeth out one side or out the other, and then it ratchets on these teeth inside the head here. So like I said, this is kind of the early design for a ratchet from 1934. I don't prefer this mechanism as much anymore. I don't think it's as good as some of the newer systems for doing things, mainly because your handle now has a wear component in it. You know, these teeth could over time become worn or chipped, somehow damaged, especially if you're beating on the thing or something. And so then you've got really the main body of the ratchet. You know, think of it as the receiver has parts in it, pieces of it that, you know, can't be replaced, and if they wear out, you've lost the whole thing. I just wanted to take a minute to tear this apart, show you guys what I'm playing with here lately. And I know it's probably not the most interesting thing for some of y'all, but you know, this channel is kind of just a hobby for me, so you occasionally, instead of getting gun stuff, have to watch me tinker around with old tools. But if you do like this, you know, leave a comment about it and I'll do more stuff on tools. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to, do I have any brake cleaner around here? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I do want to clean this groove out a little bit though, and get my brush all nasty. It is just full of crud. Really, really foul. This kind of shows why I don't like using grease on a lot of things. I'm more favoring towards oil. Is that it makes such a mess. I mean, really makes a mess. So if I put this in the neutral position, yeah, that sucks those teeth in on both sides. So that's probably what we'll need to do for reassembly of it. Has a little cutout there for sitting on that. Huh. I guess, how should I do this? I put this on first, Oh, that sits over it really loosely. Okay. Interesting. Neutralize it again. It seems kind of oversized. I wonder if that's the original retaining ring for that, or if that's been replaced at some point. I don't know. And you know what I'm going to do before I put this together? Since I am going to take this apart later on, I just don't want to have to bore you guys with me getting the parts washer out. I'm going to stick a little bit of, just throw a little LSA down in here for now. Just to maybe kind of break down some of that old grease that's in there, so that when I go to clean it, it comes out a little easier. I'm just going to throw a little bit inside the ratchet head here, and it'll smear around. And like I've said in other videos, I think, really love LSA because it's a, they call it semi-fluid grease, so it doesn't run around quite as bad as oil. I should have shaken that bottle up before I used it, but you know, it is what it is. We're just doing this temporary to take a look at it, and mainly to assess if I was going to need a rebuild kit, which I don't think I will. I don't see any damage on the pawls. I don't see any damage on the little tooth ring, gear ring, whatever you want to call that thing in there. I did not do that right. I need to get it into, have I fallen out of neutral? Probably. Yes. Now my hands are a little oily. It's making it difficult on me. You get to watch me struggle. Okay, that's about right. But being oily is not helping my struggle here at all. Okay. We're about in there. I'm gonna have to take the, oh, that hurt. Kind of slapped me on the finger. It's almost a little too wide to get the pliers on. Okay. Wiggle this around. As it should be. There it is. Work that a little bit. Try to wipe some of the oil off my hands. But that's about all I had for you. Just thought it was kind of interesting to take a look at this really classic design that I didn't know had been around for so long, relatively unchanged. I mean, if you go and find some ratchets today, they are more or less identical to this. And it feels a lot smoother now. It was kind of gritty before. I don't know if that kind of picked up in the video audio. Probably not. But it was more of a feeling aspect where it felt kind of gritty. And it still does that thing where it free spins. But to tell you the truth, I don't have much experience with these. Maybe you just have to hold it. I don't know. And it could be that, well, I wouldn't think the spring getting weak would cause that. Although maybe it would. It might just be what you have to do with these. I haven't used them very much. I mainly use the newer type that has the little lever on the back. But I thought this was just kind of something neat to add to the toolbox. You know, quality, classic, and being an SK, the original, US made round head ratchet with the central pawls like that. So, thanks for watching, folks. If you like this kind of stuff, like, subscribe. Particularly if you mainly come for the gun videos, leave a comment about if you're okay watching some of this, or just tell me that, no, this is boring, only do gun stuff, or whatever. But I like looking at different mechanical objects, so probably something I'll continue to do on occasions. I don't want to bore anyone, but I find it amusing. So if you find it amusing too, I'm glad. So thanks for stopping in, folks. We'll catch you next time with something else.